Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Wednesday, October 9th, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I am Lauren Davis, and Jenna Hawley will be here shortly with a look at what's going on around the globe. And Haley White will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. The weather forecast might look a bit uninviting late in the week, but that's not expected to dampen the spirits of thousands of people heading to Hays to celebrate the annual Oktoberfest. The event this year has been stretched over 2 days, Friday and Saturday. The Volga German Festival has been celebrated since 1942. Numerous student organizations on campus host a variety of booths selling food and souvenirs to help raise money. The event also is one of the larger revenue generators for the city of Hays as well. The move to a 2-day event is hoped to provide more family-friendly events. There are expected to be Clydesdale horses and inflatables during the weekend. Friday's celebration will be from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. with Saturday's event starting at 10 a.m. and things wrapping up at 4 p.m. The FHSU homecoming football game against Emporia State is set for 7 p.m. Saturday at Lewis Field Stadium. The homecoming parade will be at 11 a.m. Saturday down Main Street in Hays. The university's bonfire and pep rally is set for 7:30 p.m. Thursday east of the Robins Center, weather permitting. For a full list of homecoming activities at FHSU, visit tigermedianet.com. On Monday, the University Activities Board provided FHSU students the opportunity to meet the 2019 Homecoming Royalty finalists on the patio of the Memorial Union. Students were able to talk to all of the finalists and enjoy free treats such as cookies and donuts, courtesy of the candidates. There also was a musical guest present. Voting for the King and Queen candidates continues until noon Friday. The royalty will be crowned during halftime of Saturday night's football game against Emporia State. For a breakdown of each candidate, visit tigermedianet.com. The Student Government Association at FHSU got some good news at last week's meeting. Legislative Affairs Director Katie Wisely announced the voter turnout for the recent SGA elections was higher than the national average. She also said a competition called Voter to Voter is used to help increase participation in campus elections by having organizations compete for the highest turnout. It could be something FHSU looks into utilizing in the future. SGA and a number of other campus organizations also will be helping get the word out about local citywide elections beginning next week. On October 15th, the SGA, ADP, Tiger Media Network, the Political Science Department, the Docking Institute, and the Hays Area Chamber of Commerce will team up to host a debate for candidates in the upcoming Hays USD 489 Board of Education election. The events will begin at 6:30 p.m. in Beach Smith Performing Arts Center. A week later, on October 22nd, the same organizations will host a debate for candidates in the Hays City Commissioner. That event will begin at 6:30 p.m. in Beach Smith. For more information on the debates, contact Katie Wisely with SGA. More students means more records for Fort Hays. FHSU recently set its 19th consecutive fall enrollment record with 15,908 students. According to University Relations, the school attained a 76% retention rate, which is the highest in university history. Several Fort Hays programs work to increase enrollment by providing access to specific student populations and their needs. Some of these organizations include the First Year Experience, Learning Communities, and the Hispanic College of Institute. FHSU's online program has also contributed to the rapid growth. The program earned the United States Distant Learning Association's quality certification, along with only 5 other institutions in the country. Fort Hays' total on-campus enrollment is 4,486, and the total online enrollment is 11,422. Options Domestic and Sexual Violence Services is selling purple light bulbs in multiple Hays businesses to raise awareness of the number of people who experience domestic violence. According to Hays Post, the light bulbs are available for $2 at Breathe Coffee House, Simply Charms, Be Made, and H2O Float Cryo Massage. The light bulbs will be available through October, and people are encouraged to replace their front porch lights with purple light bulbs for the month of October in support of the victims of domestic violence and the people who are dealing with it. When we return from this short break, Jenna will be here with news from around the globe.
My name is Allie and I'm a senior business major at Fort Hays. I love working for TMN. It has made me a more experienced photographer and really helped me professionally due to all the changing environments and the different opportunities. I've also been able to meet and talk to a lot of people, which has helped bring me on my show.
Hello Tigers, I'm Jenna Hawley and here's what's happening around the globe. A legal showdown has been set between House Democrats and the White House. The White House has told Democrats it will not comply with demands for documents and testimony in their impeachment inquiry. In an 8-page letter, White House counsel Pat Cipollone wrote, "You have designed and implemented your inquiry in a manner that violates fundamental fairness and constitutionally mandated due process." According to CBS News, Cipollone argued the investigation is invalid because there has not been a formal vote to open an impeachment inquiry. According to the counsel, the inquiry is a way to influence the 2020 election and has no legitimate basis. Former Vice President Joe Biden and his son could be forced to testify if the Senate holds an impeachment trial for President Donald Trump. Impeachment experts say Biden could be forced to be in D.C. at a critical moment during the presidential campaign, as well as many of his chief rivals and half a dozen senators wanting the Democrats' presidential nomination. According to the Washington Times, if the House chooses to impeach Trump on charges stemming from the special counsel's Russia investigation, aides said it could open the door to witnesses such as fired FBI agent Peter Strzok or major figures from the Obama administration. Experts said the Senate would have a hard time refusing the president if he demanded to confront the witnesses against him. On Sunday, the FBI named the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history after analysts verified 50 confessions so far. Last year, Samuel Little told investigators he strangled 93 people across the country between 1970 and 2005. The FBI said law enforcement was able to verify 50 of those confessions, with more pending final confirmation. According to Fox News, the agency said it believed all 93 confessions are credible, and investigators across the country are working to piece together the information he provided with unidentified remains in unsolved cases from decades ago. VICAP crime analyst Christy Palacio said, "For many years, Samuel Little believed he would not be caught because he thought no one was accounting for his victims. Even though he is already in prison, the FBI believes it is important to seek justice for each victim to close every case possible." Little's death toll surpasses Ted Bundy, who confessed to 30 homicides from 1974 to 1978, and John Wayne Gacy, who killed at least 33 people in the 1970s. Little was arrested at a homeless shelter in Kentucky in 2012 and extradited to California on drug charges. In 2014, he was sentenced to 3 life sentences without parole. On Tuesday, Turkey announced preparations for a large military operation in northeast Syria were complete. The announcement came after the United States pulled back troops and cleared the way for a Turkish attack on Kurdish-led forces long allied to Washington. The withdrawal from the U.S. leaves the Syrian Democratic Forces open to military action by Turkey. Turkey brands the CDF as terrorists because of their links to Kurdish fighters who have waged a decades-long resistance in the country. According to Al Jazeera, U.S. President Donald Trump warned he would obliterate the NATO allies' economy if it took action in Syria that he considered off-limits. The Turkish Defense Ministry said in a tweet Tuesday that Turkey's armed forces will never tolerate the establishment of a terror corridor on our borders. All preparations for the operation have been completed. The president of Ecuador said he moved his government from the capital of the country to a coastal city amid violent protests over the end of fuel subsidies. In a televised address Monday, Lenin Moreno said, "This is not a protest of social dissatisfaction faced with a government decision, but the looting, vandalism, and violence show there is an organized political movement to destabilize the government." Ecuador's president has moved away from the left-wing policies of his predecessors and said he will neither tolerate nor overturn ending fuel subsidies. According to The Guardian, the president accused political opponents of orchestrating an attempted coup and blamed associates of Rafael Correa of infiltrating the protests as part of a plot to topple his government. The government is also reducing the state workforce and planning some privatizations as well as ending fuel subsidies. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson criticized the use of diplomatic immunity after the wife of a U.S. diplomat fled to the UK after she allegedly struck and killed a young man with her car in late August. Johnson said, "I do not think it can be right to use the process of diplomatic immunity for this type of purpose, and I hope that Anne Tsoukalos will come back and will engage properly with the process of laws that are carried out in this country." According to NPR, police in North Hampshire in central England said the 42-year-old suspect told them after the incident that she had no plans of leaving the UK in the near future. The Chief Constable of North Hampshire said he wrote to the U.S. Embassy in London urging officials to waive the woman's diplomatic immunity so she can be compelled to return and face possible arrest and a formal interview with police. The family of the victim has also expressed dismay that Tsoukalos was able to leave the country. That's what is happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Haley White when we return.
Tiger Media Network is the independent student media organization here at Fort Hays State University. It encompasses audio, video, print, photography, digital news. There's a little bit of everything at TMN.
They offer so many different events, opportunities, just so many different things to go out and do and learn so that you can make a more compelling story and just help develop you as a storyteller.
I toured this facility and I saw this radio station and then the TV studio, and I was like, yeah, this is something that I definitely need to be a part of. Here, you know, I was instantly able to make my own content, being able to broadcast my own shows.
If you have a passion about sports or about news, it doesn't matter. You can come here and you can work from day one and get that experience that demonstrates your ability to be a professional in the media industry.
Hello Tigers, I'm Haley White bringing you a sports update. As the MIAA Basketball Media Day wraps up, both FHSU men's and women's teams were picked in the top 5 of the conference media polls for the 2019 and 20 season. The men were picked 4th in both MIAA preseason coaches and media polls. The preseason polls for the men almost reflects exactly how the regular season ended last year, as Northwest Missouri State topped both polls, followed by the second pick held by Missouri Southern, with Washburn and Fort Hays claiming the 3rd and 4th spots. The men are coming off an 18-11 season while finishing 12-7 in conference play. The Tigers saw their season end during the MIAA tournament quarterfinals last year. The men will begin this season with an exhibition game inside Allen Fieldhouse against KU on October 24th. After winning both the regular season's MIAA title and the conference tournament championship, the FHSU women's basketball team sits at the top of the preseason polls for the first time in program history. The Tigers finished 32-2 last season and 18-1 in conference play. Head coach Tony Hobson enters his 12th season at FHSU after collecting the second most wins among all coaches in the MIAA a year ago. FHSU will head to Manhattan for an exhibition game November 1st against Kansas State before beginning regular season play against Minnesota Duluth on November 8th. The FHSU football team will host rival Emporia State at 7 p.m. Saturday at Lewis Field Stadium for homecoming. The Tigers have won 3 in a row after dropping the first 2 games of the season. The team is tied for 4th in the conference with Missouri Western and Nebraska Kearney. Central Missouri, who beat FHSU in the season opener, is tied with Northwest Missouri and Pitt State for the top spot. All 3 of those teams are 5-0 this season and are nationally ranked. Emporia State is 2-3 overall this season. FHSU men's soccer moved up a spot in the latest national poll. After defeating Newman University and improving to 5-3-1 overall, the Tigers jumped to number 20 earlier this week. The Tigers head into this week sitting at 4-0-1 in conference play with a match against Oklahoma Baptist on Thursday in Hayes, followed by a contest on the road against Southern Nazarene on Saturday. FHSU volleyball suffered a loss in Nebraska on Thursday after falling to nationally ranked Kearney in 3 sets. The Tigers look to bounce back in front of a home crowd this Saturday with a match against Missouri Western inside Gross Memorial Coliseum. FHSU men's golf finished 20th among its competition at the Holiday Inn Express Classic, hosted by Missouri Western. The Tigers finished the tournament with a 3-round total of 971 after firing off rounds of 307, 330, and 334. Pete Carney led the Tigers with a 237. Women's golf finished its tournament in similar fashion, taking 21st place at the Midwest Classic, hosted by Central Missouri. The Tigers finished 2 rounds to rack up a total of 670. Taylor DeBoer paced the Tigers with rounds of 77 and 83. The University of Kansas has issued an apology after the entertainment portion of Late Night in the Fog welcomed artist Snoop Dogg to perform inside Allen Fieldhouse on Friday. Since the annual event is family-friendly, attendance expected a G-rated performance, but instead got a nightclub atmosphere from the artist. KU's Director of Athletics, Jeff Long, was reportedly unaware of what Snoop's performance entailed prior to him taking the court. Long told TMZ he takes full responsibility for not looking more into what Snoop proposed. He said KU strives to provide a family atmosphere at the venue, and Kansas fell short of that Friday evening. In an interview with Howard Stern following the performance, the artist said the audience enjoyed the show. He said, "If you pay Snoop Dogg to perform, you will get a Snoop Dogg performance." The XFL is spilling out names of players who will be included in its inaugural draft pool as the 2-day event is scheduled for next week. Owned by Vince McMahon, the league is set to take place after the Super Bowl with a duration of 10 weeks. So far, the new league includes 13 players with ties to the Kansas City and Wichita area. Former Kansas State Wildcats included the draft pool are safeties Danzel McDaniel and Kendall Adams, linebacker Arthur Brown, and defensive tackle Will Geary. Jayhawks to make the list include quarterback Jake Heaps, cornerback Ja'Cory Shepard, defensive end Michael Reynolds, and tackle Dwayne Wallace. Area prospects within the MIAA include former Washburn guard Michael Miller and former Central Missouri quarterback Garrett Fugate. Teams of the XFL will be located in Dallas, Washington, D.C., Houston, St. Louis, L.A., New York, Seattle, and Tampa Bay. That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of TMNtv. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers!